Hey guys, welcome back to another thrilling episode of Convention Confessional. I'm your host, Katy Hunt, and if you're new here, this is a show about sharing some of our favorite convention stories. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, some of them are hilarious, and some of them are downright horrifying, I'm sure, because let's face it, nobody really has a clean story to tell. um, no story is ever like completely harmless. Um, on today's show, I have my friend Ryan Pagella, who has done many a convention with me. Hi, Ryan.
Hey, I like that
Hey.
opening you did there. You were like, "Oh, hello, guys." What was it? Like you're like, "Oh, hello." Like I don't know what that voice was.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi. What's going on? Oh, hello there.
That's what my voice has turned into, like being locked up for a friggin' year.
Yeah, well, I had to be silent while you did your intro, and I'm trying not to die
Well, how long did you think
laughing.
you've ever been quiet in your life, Ryan? So congratulations.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm proud of myself right
I am
now.
proud of you. See growth. How are you today, dear?
I'm good. I'm great. It's fantastic outside. It's finally warming up after the entire month of February, which it was like negative 11 degrees and windy.
Mm,
So I'm
mm-hmm.
happy with that. This is like perfect Katie Hunt weather where it's like not cold or hot.
It's true. It's true. I'm living in my element right now.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, you know the drill on this show. Basically, what happens is you come and you confess some wonderful convention story for us that we can all either laugh or cry about with you. Um, I know you haven't caught the first episode yet because it literally just went up today, but yeah, I shared the story about Tony Stark having to pee at the convention. I think I've told you the story.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
have.
yeah.
It's sometimes I confuse it with you having to pee just in general.
Right. It's just
So
like I just dress up like Tony Stark and go pee in men's bathrooms just for the hell of it.
that has been a problem.
That it really is. That is my burden to bear. That's no one else's. So
She's like, all right. Anyway, we'll move on from that.
right, right.
Uh,
So I mean, like you and I have worked together on several conventions in the past, and I know we have like 100 stories. We could probably just bang out like 70 episodes on our own here. Um,
Yeah, I wonder if I'm gonna be like a reoccurring guest where you're like, okay, let's go back and talk about this particular horrific convention we dealt with.
not even the convention. Like this was day one.
Yeah, right. I when you approached me about doing this, I'm like, oh god, where do we even start? And I was like, I think we really would have to just start from like how we met because even that is crazy on its own.
It's true. Yeah,
But
yeah.
also like a good tale of like how conventions operate because you know how they are where it's like you meet people just by walking up and talking to them because we started going to conventions when there wasn't like iPhones or smartphones. We just had laptops, which barely would get an internet signal if you brought it to the hotel with you.
True.
So really back then you just had to talk to people and that's how we met. But I don't know. I mean, do we want to talk about that? Do we want to talk about how we met? Because that's one of my favorite stories of
I mean,
all
we
time.
can do a couple if you want. Like, it doesn't have to be limited to just the one
No, it's just gonna be
story.
us like shooting the shit.
Right. This is literally just us talking about, like, the past. Um, yeah. No, definitely the story of we met, please, by all means.
Okay, fine. Well, I'll open it and you can jump on in. But basically, Katie and I both were cosplaying for our intro into the conventional world, and that's a lot of what we did there. But really, I think what highlights our time there is that you and I did all the performances. Like if there was a show that needed a host or a script or a team of actors, like that was what Katie and I provided. I like in a way, I went to conventions to meet friends, but mostly so I could act. Like it started off as cosplay, but then I just wanted to like perform in the shows, and that's what happened. So basically, God, where was it even? Like, did I talk to you previous to the anime dating game, or was that really the first time?
That was literally like, as it was happening, was the first time you and I actually ever talked.
Okay, but we had technically met before, but we didn't know that. It was at AAC in 2006 when I was a participant in the masquerade and you were just hosting it. You weren't supposed to be the host. You just kind of became the host, which
Right, but
is
that's like a whole nother story.
yeah, I don't know who you're going to talk to about that story with, but
I mean, it's definitely going to come up at some point. It has to. Like I said, there's like a laundry list of stories that have
yeah.
to be brought into the world.
Okay.
No, but like I think we'd met briefly because I was backstage doing main event stuff because I pretty much lived on main events in 2006, but I don't
Who
think it
were
was
you
more than
that
like
year?
a
Like, who were you
hello.
hosting as? Like, I don't remember that. You weren't Tamaki yet. That wasn't a thing, I don't think.
Oh
Or
no,
were you?
that was I started off as Tamaki, yeah. But I mean, like
Did
I
you
said, it was
really?
like probably a brief hello and we moved on.
Oh, right, because okay, Oran Host Club did come out that year. I thought it came out later, but I just remembered the group I was with. Somebody like met somebody that was there that was dressed up as oh god, I'm blanking his name. I don't know, the one with the glasses that I played.
Kiyoya.
I almost said Kyoga, and I'm like, that is not right. I've seen one episode of that show. Okay, I watched it because you, well, you didn't even like make me do that. That's okay. I'm skipping around, and I'm thinking of like a different time. Let's stick to the story here. So anyway, so AAC, right? So we meet there technically, and then I think like a year went by before we really saw each other again because I was going through like my bullshit period of time in my life. So I was not really like I was at cons, but I wasn't really participating. And then it was Anime Boston, in which we were both. You weren't in the dating game. I was. I was playing James from Team Rocket, and you were
Right.
still dressed as Tamaki. This was like Katie went through a phase where she was just Tamaki everywhere, and then eventually that just like turned into Tony Stark, which I guess is essentially the same kind of character.
He just
But
grew up.
yeah, I mean, he went
He
from
got
like a
smarter.
he went from like a pretty like feminine like blonde boy to like grown up like drunken mess man. I don't know.
So
Uh
I grew up.
yeah, but anyway, so I was playing James, and I all I remember about that show is that okay, so like if you're not familiar with a dating game is like for your listeners anyway, but hopefully they are. They set it up like the traditional old like game show, the dating game, where they have somebody on one side of a wall asking questions to like three other participants on the other side of the wall, and like then they get to decide who they're going to date at the end. Except this is like fandom, so now there's suddenly like I don't know. I think it was in that show. It was Shigure from Fruits Basket, which was played by Lindsay. I knew her. And then there was somebody I think next to me that was like Hero from Gundam Wing. And then the person asking questions was Zelos from Slayers. And I don't know if anybody will remember any of those characters because it's been like years since any of those shows were relevant.
Yeah, I've
But
just been saying it's been like years.
yeah, I know. Like it's only been 2 years ago. We definitely didn't
Right.
age like 15 years since then.
Absolutely not.
And so anyway, I was in that show as James, and I don't know what's with conventions not understanding audio equipment, but like all these conventions put on shows, and I think this is actually something that excelled when we took over Kineticon is that we were really specific about like what we wanted on the main stage. We're like, we need monitors so we can hear ourselves, and like people fought us on that. They're like, why do we need more speakers? I'm like, because we cannot hear anything at all, including to each other. So like we need monitors on the stage. And so Anime de Boston did not have monitors. So Zealous was asking questions that the audience could hear and laugh and it like respond to. And like that I would hear be like contestant number 2. And then like a ton of laughter, and then everybody's staring at me, and I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck that person just said. Like, I don't know what they're asking me because, like, at least when there isn't a wall there, I can see your lips. You know what I mean?
Right.
But this was just like sound into the ether, and so I would just say things like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention because I was just thinking about how pretty I am," and like people dug that and that
Of course
helped.
they
But
did.
mostly you were like right in front of me in that front row because you were there to see Paul. Was it Paul?
Well, Paul was there and Rob were there.
Oh,
So
Rob
yeah,
was there.
yeah,
Holy fuck, Rob was there.
yeah.
Okay, that's crazy. I totally forgot Rob was there.
Yeah,
Anyway,
he's
so
always he did the dating game at AB Forever.
that's right. He did do that, and then it translated to AAC. For some reason, I thought he was like famous for AAC, even though I know that's not correct.
No,
So
that's me. You keep confusing him with me.
no, I I know there's nobody more famous than you, Katie. We know. Uh,
Please stop.
do you want me to show you more compliments?
No, please just continue with your story
Okay,
before
fine.
I lose
Well,
words.
where I do shower you with compliments. So she's in the front row dressed as Tamaki, and I just start flirting with Katie because I'm like, well, I can't do anything with this other character, and like I don't know what was going on. Whoever's playing that Zealous Wessel was very good. So I hopefully that person isn't listening to this podcast, but I think it might have been like their first time on stage. I don't know. And if they were good, like I just couldn't hear it. What I could hear was that girl that was being lenient inverse in the background who was like heckling, and I think she was put there intentionally to heckle, but like she didn't have the experience to like I don't know, read the room and know when to stop. So she just kept screaming. And eventually told her to shut up. I was like, please shut up. I can't hear what they're saying. So I'm flirting with Katie instead. At the end of the round, they didn't pick me. Zelos didn't pick James or whatever. So I was like, I don't want you anyway. I'm interested in my new love, Tamaki. Then Katie's like, oh, here we go.
Well, I guess I'm involved in this somehow. Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how I was able to like egg on. I think it's because like I had theater experience and like you were the only person in the room besides Lindsay who was next to me who was like interacting with me and like, like I think because you were making faces at me and stuff, and we kept pointing at each other. So like I think you just understood that dynamic.
Well, the
So
thing was,
anyway,
like, during, like, the whole thing, because you couldn't hear what was going on, so, like, we kinda made eye contact, and we just ended up flirting with each other the entire show, like,
it was so good
because it just
though.
turned into a thing, like, you saw me one time, you're just like, "Tamaki," and I was like, "Oh, James," and
Yeah, right. So
we
then
made
we
our
like
own kinda, like, show in the front row because
we
honestly,
did.
like
We stole the show. We literally stole the show and ran down the aisle throwing roses at people. So I don't know. It was good. And I think that was like how we really met. And then you're telling me that I didn't do this, but I swear to God, I danced with you backstage at the masquerade that year during the YMCA. You swear that did not happen. So I hope that wasn't some stranger.
I mean, that was 2007, right?
Yeah, I think it was
Because
2008.
2007, if it's, I mean, it possibly did. I don't remember because all I remember about the Anime Boston Masquerade was that my friends and I were, no, that wasn't the skit year. No, that's a
Is
lie.
that not the year you did Hairspray?
No, Hairspray was the next year, and the only reason I remember that is because the following year after that was Best in Show. Because
Are
like
you?
I'd
Wait,
only
wait,
been,
wait, wait.
I'd only performed in like one
I
masquerade.
think
That was the only masquerade I performed in
I'm
up
gonna
until we
call you
did Dead
out
Moon
because
Circus.
I think you're wrong. Because I think Dead Moon Circus was 2009 because that was the last Anime Boston I went to, and I was
Yeah,
there for
Dead
that.
Moon Circus was 2009, but then
So
like
was
we're talking about
Hairspray?
2007 year. That's 2 years before.
Oh, was Hairspray 2007 and not 2008?
No, I don't
Okay, so
remember. It's all a
then it
blur.
was 2008. It probably was you, and you probably don't remember. Whatever.
It's all the same.
Katie was
I
just
don't
like drunk
remember.
backstage.
Remember. And I do remember is 2007 was the year of the really amazing chess match, and I know I was Tamaki for that because I
Oh,
got king of the chessboard, and that was the year that Paul, who we were just talking about, who was helping to host the dating game at AB that year,
yeah.
he was Roy Mustang, and he was the king of the other side, and it was like Shonen versus Shoji, I think.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. By the way, Paul was also referred to as Hot Roy Mustang. Nobody knew
Because
his
he kind
name for
of
like 2
was.
years.
Nobody
I mean,
really dressed up at that point.
oh
It was
wait,
like,
Katie, can I tell you that I haven't talked to him in years and I accidentally sent him a message like yesterday?
Paul?
Yeah, I was trying to send another person I know who's named Paul like a link to something and
Mhm.
I sent it to that Paul and I was like, sorry, I didn't mean to. It was like a Sonic the Hedgehog thing. I'm like, sorry, that I didn't mean to send that to you. And he's just like, well, I always got to go fast. And I'm like, well, I'm glad that he's still the same.
Yeah, he has not changed. But yeah, no, it was just, it came down to, they script, I mean, I'm sorry. I'm going to really ruin everybody's lives here. We script chess matches, we script dating games, and we script masquerades because we have to stay on a time limit. Like,
Wait a second. Are you telling me you script masquerades and other shows that are not Kineticon?
I will
Dude.
not be judged, nor do I make comments.
I'm just gonna leave that out in the
This is
ether.
not how my legacy dies. No.
No, it's not.
But you know what I mean? Like we have to, like, to an extent. Like a lot of it is improv, a lot of it is us just like messing around trying to keep the crowd entertained. But there has to be some kind of a semblance of a script to keep things on track. Otherwise, we'll be doing events until we're dead.
I guess what she means by scripts is like a script outline.
Right.
Like, it's like the scenes are written out, and it's like you have 5 minutes to do this scene, and if you do it longer than that, you're just getting shut off either way. So generally, you would try and finish before 5 minutes.
Right, exactly. But like I said, it's just kind of like we're just putting filler in so that we're not up there going,
Yeah, okay. Can I just like verify for now for there are people who are like, why are the hosts on stage? This was a problem that Katie and I dealt with at Kineticon for years. Is that we would get feedback where people would love our shows that we hosted, and especially the Masquerade. But then there'd be like a handful of people being like, why are the hosts up there for so long? And it's like, okay, do you understand that like there are like these are not like the same continuous performers for each skit. Like it's a whole new group of performers coming on every time, and they have to move all their shit around every single time. You know,
Right.
like it's a talent show basically.
Like, I
So
had to
we,
wait. I mean, they have to drag their dead bodies off before I can let the next act come on. So I'm trying to give them
yeah,
time to
I
do
don't.
that.
It's crazy. It's like I don't understand some people. Anyway,
Right.
we're like
Right.
way off track already. This
Yeah,
is a
where were we?
great
Yeah,
start.
Paul. So yeah, so like the chess match at Anime Boston is a tiny bit scripted. Period. And that again, that's just to keep the game going, but also to make sure characters know what they're doing in case they die or they win or blah 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 blah. And it came down to like me and Paul as the two kings somehow, and
Well,
I
you are a
believe he
king.
had a queen left. And I had like a pawn or something left. I honestly can't remember the pieces on the board. And all I remember is that the move was that Paul won and Tamaki lost. And I had not talked to the person in charge of chess match about it, but I had talked to Paul about it. And I was like, Roy Mustang can't win this dating game. I mean, excuse me, the chess match. And he's just like, what? And I'm like, no, there's no way he's going to win this chess match. And I'm going to tell you why. And we talked about it. And I convinced him to go along with my little ploy. So what happened was, I'm just saying, I convinced him very easily. I was like, all right, I'm like, you know what? You can win or I can win. And ladies, and I had every single girl in the chess match come back on stage and surround themselves around Roy Mustang. I'm like, you can have all these women if I can win.
Oh my god.
And
I don't.
he goes, and he goes, winner. And I just remember, like,
I,
everyone in the audience is like, woo! The people playing that had their scripts are like flipping through it, going, this is not in the script. Like, this is not what we were told was going to happen. Like, I just completely took over that chess match because I'm like, there's no way in hell that Tamaki would lose to Roy Mustang when he has access to all of these women and he knows this dude's a womanizer. Like,
yeah, I like that. I'm sad I missed that. I don't think I saw that there. That
it
was
was
'07,
honestly
right?
like one of the best chess moments ever because
I mean,
I
that's
had just
that is something because chess can be like kind of like lengthy. You know what I mean? Like it can get a little boring at times, and that sounds amazing.
for the longest time too the clip was on YouTube and it's gone now, but I know there used to be a clip of me and him getting into a slap fight right before the end of the game. And
On
my
YouTube.
special
Mhm.
attack my special attack was the Bishonen squad. Do you remember them?
I do remember them. They were so
They were
fantastic.
my special attack during chess and they
They
ran
were.
on stage and like set up a whole moment of like flower petals and everything else.
Oh my god, they were the guys that always dressed up in like tiny spandex too, right?
Possibly. They were mostly
I
in
think so.
Ghostbuster outfits to like set up scenes and stuff if I remember, but I mean,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. But either way, I am remembering them correctly. I think they were also they did it. I'm thinking of one of the groups they did one year. I think one year they were like in spandex. I think it was one year they did that, and the rest of the years they did not do that. But that's the only year I remember because there were a lot of bulges.
it was a lot and I remember.
Yeah, that's all. That's all that really matters in the long run.
Right.
Oh my god, that's fantastic. I'm sad I missed that.
Oh yeah, well, it's a Sunday. Like Sunday games, like everybody's running around doing stuff, saying bye to their friends. Like no one really catches like the Sunday events anymore.
Oh, that was the year that I was also sick during the con. So like I like made it to the masquerade and not very well and like I was bedridden for most of that. Do you know how much it sucks to go to a convention? Here's a great lesson that the pandemic is now teaching us. Take showers, wash your fucking hands, don't cough and sneeze on people because it sucks to spend money going to a con that you then don't get to experience and you have to spend in the hotel room like eating soup and not getting out of bed because you're too sick to be there but you can't go home because you're in another state somewhere.
It's true.
Yeah, I
It's
mean
true.
we've all been there at least once.
Yeah, I know. Like if not, I've had roommates that have done that.
Oh yeah.
It's just like gross. And then the thing is too is like back in the day, like you don't even think about it. You're just like, oh well, you're coughing all over me. Oh well, con plague.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how many times did we walk away from Connecticut and then like get sick a week later. It was like almost every single time.
Pretty much in the middle of the summer, no less. That's the worst time to be sick.
Oh, it really really is. I oh god.
It's already hot and gross out, and then
Yeah, and
like
then
you have like a
a
fever on
cold.
top of that. Forget it.
Right, I know. Well, like, we always called it a cold, but Complag really could be anything. It was,
Uh-huh.
like, basically a bunch of shitty flu symptoms, and you were like, "Oh, great, now I'm gonna, like, puke on this person."
Yeah, and
Anyway,
it's like, guys, no, but literally though, it's just like this is the PSA. If you go to a convention, shower. If you go to a convention, eat at least 2 meals a day. If you go to a convention, take care of yourself. Like,
yeah,
my
I
God, I
don't
like most of the and the thing is too is like most of the people
ha
that go to these conventions now that I have noticed are like old enough to know better. Like
yeah,
people that
I think
aren't
when
like
we
are with
went, there's
adults and their
right
adult parents are like keeping track of them.
Well, I was gonna say when we were kids, well, or not kids, when we were in our early 20s, there were a lot of teenagers there because their parents would just dump them off this thing. They don't do that anymore so much.
Oh
So,
no, my first convention at Anime Boston, please. We got let off on the side of the road in the middle of Boston. They're like, "See you in 6 hours, bye." In
see, I
the
mean that's
middle of
just how it
downtown
was.
Boston, like at the plaza. So
Oh
it's
yeah. Oh my god. I forgot about like how anime Boston was too.
hmm
I I the first anime Boston I went to, I took the train in because I lived in Natick, so like we just took the commuter rail and we're like, okay, this is good enough because it goes right into the Prudential Center and then we can leave. But
yeah, yeah.
I
My
didn't
first,
participate in anything that first year.
yeah, my
Anyway,
first.
so
Hmm?
what?
I was
No,
say my first year, we literally just got like thrown out of the car and left.
yeah, like trash on the side of the road. It's
Pretty
like we're done
much
with you.
dressed up trash. Thank you very much.
Oh, so you're a whore. Got it. So
Excuse me, no whore.
a
I worked
whore for
really hard on that
attention,
George
maybe.
Washington wig. Okay,
Yeah, right. It depends what you were wearing that day. If you were,
I was my first official convention cosplay costume was Hatsuharu Soma from Fruits Basket.
yeah, I guess you're not a whore. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I just and I think too, like I was just talking about this with somebody the other day about how my wig was a George Washington wig that I
yeah.
had cut down and I painted, not like wefts, painted with acrylic paint, black and white.
This is like before Hamilton existed.
Oh yeah, no, 100% before. So like this was just like predestiny, but like
This, yeah, I was gonna say this is something you just did on your own.
but I literally walked into a convention with a painted wig, and people thought it was the best thing since sliced bread. And I just to this day do not understand because the things that people do with wigs nowadays, with like the
Are
different
like
hair pieces
amazing.
and the foam, and
Yeah, I know. I don't know. Like that happened with me too when I first cosplayed Axel from Kingdom Hearts, and like I literally got like a shitty wig from the wig store that was just bright red. That I think it was like it wasn't like the one that you can mold. It was just literally a red wig, and I just hung it upside down and sprayed it so the spikes were up. It didn't look like his hair at all, but everyone's like, "You look just like Axel," and I was like, looking at the pictures of it recently, I'm like, "The fuck is wrong with that wig?"
yeah, that's what I mean. It's just like I mean, it wasn't terrible, but the fact that people were like, I mean, it was 2004. This was back when like
All right. Well, there's also a period of time when I first met you, which we could talk about since we're in that era anyway, in
right.
which you didn't even wear wigs. You like absolutely refused to use them. You're like, oh, I'll just dye my hair and change my hairstyle every time because wigs suck. And maybe it's like this trauma you had from this president wig. I don't know. Like, do you remember that though? Like,
Oh
you
yeah.
dyed your hair blonde for
hmm
Vash the Stampede, that first AAC we worked together, and
Yep.
we were staying in the same room, and you dyed it blonde. You're like, it's not blonde enough.
I
So then
dyed
you
it for
like
Tamaki
bleached it
too.
again. I know, but then you bleached it again, and then I remember you lying there and being like, my head's really starting to burn. I'm like, you need to take that out of your hair.
Yeah.
But it was blonde. It worked.
Yeah.
So
And you know what? And it's funny now that you say that because like I try my hardest not to have to wear a wig for my costumes. Like I try to kind of base my characters around like not having to wear a wig just
that's
because I
fair.
don't like them. Like I'm not a fan of them. Like it's just I mean, I know like it makes the costume look amazing. And for certain costumes, yes, you do need wigs for 100%. Like this is like my personal opinion, obviously. It's just like, but I feel like if I can make my hair more natural
Yeah,
looking to the character, then I'm gonna go for it.
I'm in
And
the same boat as you. I did the same thing.
right, and it's funny now because now, like, I've been cosplaying as Tony Stark for almost like what 13 years.
That is your real hair.
That is my real hair, and and my hair is going gray now because I'm years old. So it's like
It's going great. I don't
it
know.
really is like it's doing that salt and pepper thing. And now, like where Tony is at in like Endgame and Infinity Wars and stuff, like my hair color is almost the exact same hair color as his. So it's like I don't have to do shit to my hair. I'm good.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
I've been
Yeah,
leading up to this moment. It's all been work right up
not
to
are
this
you gonna
moment.
look like Doctor Strange. It'll be really funny.
That would be good. That would
Or
save me.
Mr. Fantastic. I don't know. Pick your poison.
Right. I can. We always joked about if I went bald for some reason, I could just be like an actual Xavier. So
I don't. I mean, yeah, you could, but like, do you really want to be Xavier?
no, I did that once. I've lived that life. I'm good.
I mean, at least I got to play Magneto, and like that was a different dating game. We're just talking shit. Okay, so
Yeah.
like
Now
there
we're
was
just talking
another
like
dating
running all over the
game
place.
that there was another dating game we did where we did X-Men, and we were Xavier and Magneto hosting the show as those two characters, and at least I got to play Magneto, who's a character like who is like. I mean, he's psychotic in a different way, but Charles Xavier's evil, right? Like,
Like, we're all on board with that, right? Like we all know he's the bad guy, right? Right.
yeah, yeah, I mean, come on. Anyway, Okay,
Right.
so do you remember after we did all that shit at Anime Boston the year we met? I saw you in line, and I don't remember what you're wearing, but this is important to this story. I walked up to you and I go, "Are you John Hart?" And you were like, "No." I don't think you even knew it was me because I was out of costume, and you thought I was just some like person stalking you because that happened a lot back then.
That's
So I was
true.
like, "Oh, I thought you were John Hart. You should be John Hart." And then I left. Like, what an awkward conversation. I should have explained that it was James from the fucking show, but like I didn't even do that. I was like, oh, I look totally different now. I'm just gonna come up and ask a totally random question and leave.
I don't know what I was wearing because it's like the next year was like 2009 is when I started working with you guys at Kineticon is when I
You
actually
probably weren't wearing a costume. You were probably wearing your regular clothes. You were in the checkout line. You were to leave it. You're trying to leave the hotel.
like, my God, get away from me, psycho.
You're
Who
like
are you?
wearing jeans and like probably something that was red. And it's like, oh, are you from Torchwood? And you're like, who the fuck are you?
What the hell is Torchwood?
Oh, well, aren't you glad I introduced you?
My
Um,
God. Yes.
and then, okay, so then at some point over that year, I was like talking to you online. I kept on messaging you because I don't know, you had your AIM up in, I think, the AAC message boards or something. So, like, I followed you from there because that's what you did back in the day. And, like, you're like, this guy won't stop messaging me. Like, what the fuck's his problem?
No, I don't think that was ever like what I thought it was. You know what I mean? It's just like it's back in the day, like Aim's up, you got the message boards up, you get talking to people, and like the message boards are really how you made friends. And like I said, Aim, which now anybody that's listening to this hopefully is in our age group. If not, Aim was AOL Instant Messenger, kids.
Well,
So
now,
now everybody just knows we're 100. Um,
yeah. Yeah, remember that with away
Mommy, what's an
messages?
AOL? You know,
Yeah, I know, I know. Oh my god, AOL could have been worse. It's like this is back from the 90s, you
right? And
know.
I said like a lot of my friends, like I said, we met like before there was really like cell phone communication, before like the internet was
Yeah,
really thriving, that there were forums you could
everything was
do
on
it
message
on.
boards. Oh my god. I'm like having like a flashback here. I'm not
Oh,
nostalgic for this, by the way. It's a little bit easier now.
I know. And like I said, like at the end of the day, like really, like when conventions weren't huge, because I mean now
They
you get like
weren't.
thousands upon thousands of people, but before, like some of these conventions we're talking about, you go to them and there might have been like 6,000 people at them, so you're gonna run into the same people quite often. Is I
Wait,
mean, I know it still sounds like a hell of a lot of people, but I mean, you ran into everybody because not everybody was dressed up like My Hero Academia. Not everybody had like the most recent anime costumes. 'Cause not everybody
I
was
mean,
downloading
when
anime
we
the way
were
they can
going
easily
there, it
now.
was like Naruto had taken over. Like that was, and neither of us really watched that much Naruto, but we both cosplayed from it at one point.
Oh yeah. Oh god, yeah. I mean, I think we hit all like the main markers.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think we only did it because we are like, "Oh, people are paying attention to me. Take my picture." Yeah, that's
But it
right.
is funny, like through the years, like you can tell like what year a convention was by like the massive
What
group of
everyone's
people
wearing.
dressed up. Yeah.
I know. I know.
Like,
That year that I met you, what was I even doing? I was doing something from Resident Evil because Resident Evil 4 had just dropped, and so, like, Resident Evil had gotten, like, super popular again. So, that was a thing, and then also as Oran Host Club. Like, those were the 2 things.
right. Right. And
I
then
don't know.
FMA was a massive thing.
Oh my
And then
god, fucking Fullmetal Alchemist. I never finished that
yeah,
show. I know what happens.
everybody was host club at one point. Everybody was Naruto for the longest time.
Like, it moves. Remember the Hetalia phase?
Oh yeah, oh god, the Hetalia phase. I thought that was never going away.
Yeah, that was like one of those ones that lasted forever.
What was the one with the demons? That was big.
Oh, the one that was the MS Paint comic, whatever it was. I don't
Yeah.
know. I forget. I always Homestuck. Is that what it's
Homestuck,
called?
yep, that's it. Like
That's
Homestuck
yeah.
was huge.
I don't know what it is now because
Oh,
I
it's
haven't
My Hero
been.
Academia.
Is it really?
That's 100%.
Okay, I
Which is
believe
a
you.
really
I
good
mean,
show, by the way. I don't know if you've watched any of it or not. It is a very good show, but that is the thing right now.
no, I've seen clips of it, and I'm like, do I want to invest time in this right now? And I'm like, no, I have like 1,000 other things I need to watch, so I haven't watched it yet. But that was actually a good thing about cons back in the day. Is like that would sometimes inspire me to like get into a show or a game or something because I'd be like, "What the fuck is this from?" And then they'd tell me, and then I'd look it up and like, now I want to play it. Now I don't want to watch it. Like I don't know, but that was like a whole deal. I think it was after that, after all the things we just listed, that you and I started to talk to each other. You were coming to Kineticon, and I told you first. I told you to come. Like the musical was happening. Oh god, the musical.
Shh, we're not going to talk about that. That's a whole different episode.
That is a whole different episode, and if we're gonna do that, we need to at least get Just
Walk
Just for
away
on
from it,
here.
sir.
No, we need Jess on it. It needs to be like a triple recording of Jess and I being
I'm
like, "This
going to
is
bring
our."
together the entire cast of the original Kineticon musical for a convention confessional.
No, actually, I mean, like Maddie was in that too. Maddie and Jess and I were like, I'll just tell you this: that show had like I was the director and Halden was the other director, but then there was like at least 10 other people on this board of directors. So the show was really directed by nobody,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
it could you could see that it started off strong, and then like I don't know what happened. It just kind of like peters out. So
Well, again, another time, another confessional. Because that
that's true.
again could be its own
It's
episode
true.
by
And I don't wanna
itself.
insult any people that was in it because a lot of them are still my friends, so, like, that's not what I'm gonna do, but, like,
Right.
I don't know. It was we were trying to do something that was bigger than the scope that we could work with. Like, we were so young, and we were trying to put on, like, a full musical with a bunch of people that, like, did not have any training in musical theater, so it's a miracle it happened at all, honestly. But anyway,
Right.
so Katie came to that. I said to you, I'm like, "Oh, I'm doing the musical. Come see that." But I remember specifically telling you that I'm like, you don't need to stay for the musical if you don't want to, which is good because you left halfway.
Oh, I
But
sure did. Yeah.
what was it after Barbie Girl?
I don't remember honestly because I left to go get a Twilight book. So
Okay, I don't know if that's I like you went from that to that. Good job. Anyway, so I told you not to go to that show. Well, that's not what I said. I said you don't need to stay for the whole show, but I'm like, but come to the masquerade because it's gonna be really good. And like that was the year that we did Team Rocket takes over the masquerade. There were some backstory on that was that behind the scenes at Kineticon, they had somebody called the Brianna Bunny, who was this person who like worked at Kineticon. I don't know if she founded it with Matt Daigle, but like I know that she was hosting the show before as Brianna Bunny, but then she quit the con and she was like, I'm taking the rights of Brianna Bunny with me, which I was like, okay, I don't really understand the politics here, nor do I really care. We need to figure out what to do. And I had been talking to Alyssa at the time who ran main events, and I was like talking to her about the musical, and I was like, hey, do you need any help with anything else? And she's like, well, we need to find these two hosts for the masquerade. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. Can we do Team Rocket take over the masquerade? So we had Alyssa dress up as Brianna Bunny, and then we kind of like put her into an Energizer Bunny box and got rid of her. But we came on dressed as Organization 13, like doing the first skit. And then like the music cuts out and we did the whole dramatic opening. And it was fantastic because then I, as James, got to dress up as Brianna Bunny, and it was fabulous. And it was like after that, it was like literally like within the same 24 hours that you like contacted me. You're like, do you want to come host stuff at the AC Masquerade? I was like, yeah, I do. And then, but then Katie, then you opened up like a can of worms where we just started working with each other on like 95 different shows.
it's true.
Yeah, that's all
Yeah.
your fault. Thank you.
Yes, it's all my fault.
I mean, clearly it was probably part of mine because I was busy stalking you because I wanted you to come work for us. My plan worked, so whatever.
I got what I want.
I know. I got to. I mean, the thing is that we have a really good dynamic on stage. Like, and I'm not like insulting other people's dynamics. I don't. That's not what I mean at all. It's like sometimes you have a natural way of talking to people on stage that doesn't necessarily translate to like other people you could host with or work with. Like that chemistry. Like, let me put it this way. Like, I was watching. God, what was it the show you were in on the couch?
Hmm.
And like you two were like the heads of that particular show. And like I'm like, the chemistry is here so it's so good. Like you know how to play off each other. And it's like that has to come naturally. You can't invent that. And for you and me on stage, we were able to do that also. And I was like, that's why I liked hosting all those shows with you. So the first show we officially hosted together was the dating game in 2009 at Kineticon,
There's
in
no
which
proof of
I
that though.
what?
There's no proof of that show.
Yeah, I know. Well, there's pictures that happened.
If
People
you
were
say so.
there. Yeah, come on,
They
there's
could be
pictures.
doctored.
Okay, well, either way, we
I
did it
feel like that
together.
whole show was a fever dream because we have absolutely no proof that it happened. It's like
I
we
mean,
have like 4 pictures of me as like John Hart and you as Jack Harkness.
okay, we also did an opening musical number, which actually went over pretty well considering we did the rehearsals in your tiny bedroom.
Yep.
But anyway, so like we were Jack and John Harkness. I Jack and John Harkness.
First of all, what was you
You
thinking I was
took my
taking
last
your last
name.
name? I am not taking your last name.
I know. If anything, it would be the other way around.
It would
Um,
100% be the other way around.
yeah, I know. Like, I don't know. Jack Harkness is not he's definitely the bottom. Anyway,
Mhm, mhm.
so we did that show together. It was really fantastic, and I had a great time. The things that I remember are also kind of a fever dream. Like I remember there being like a banana at one point.
There
Do you
was a
remember
banana,
that?
and the doctor, went off and ate it. That was Jim.
Oh, did he eat it or did I eat it?
Oh, no, he
I think
totally ate it
okay, but why did the banana peel wind up on the stage and why did I fall on it?
because he chucked it after he ate it, and you fell on it.
Okay, to be fair, I remember walking towards it, like being like, I'm just slip, but then I actually did slip because I didn't think it would be as slippery as it was.
Oh, Ryan, are you talking about having trouble walking on stage?
No, I didn't have problems walking on stage. I have problems. I
Pretending
have.
that you can't walk, pretending that you have a cane? Like, should we just we're not gonna get into that.
Oh, do you want to go there?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
not gonna go there. Again, that's a whole other episode.
You can't just say that. You can't just be like reference like every single episode. You're like, we're gonna like vaguely like describe something
Don't
that
you worry,
happened
Ryan.
one
When that
time.
episode comes around, I will make sure I'm going to
Okay,
label it
fine.
Sherlock Holmes.
I guess we're just going in chronological order then. Anyway, so this is the dating game. I've convinced Katie to do it. Uh, Rob had, I almost called him Sketch, but we have not called him Sketch in years. But he went by Sketch at the time. Rob had built like a life-size TARDIS that we could get in front of, and he asked if he could bring it to Connecticut. And we're like, yeah, sure, put it in front of the main events masquerade stage or whatever, the main stage. So we put it there, and then you and I like hid in that for the seating of the tortured dating game. Do you
Six
remember
hours.
that? No, that was a masquerade. The
Okay, six
dating game was
hours.
like maybe 20 minutes. Like, okay, but this is important because the people who came to the dating game, like there was only like a handful of people there. It was like probably one section of the audience, but we kept on like our dating game got famous to the point that like it fit a room of 2,000 people that filled and then people got turned away from it. You know,
And yet
by
not one of them filmed a second of it.
well, not this one anyway. We
Ah.
have there's the Futurama dating game. That one's there.
Yeah, of
That's
course
like
that one's there. That fucking hot mess.
yeah, I know. I feel like you're like conventionals, but like all the the confessionals. You should have named it that conventionals. The confessionals that are like really bad basically happen after this first column we do together because the first one we did was fine, you know.
Hmm.
But anyway, so we did this number and we all hit in the TARDIS. We all came out one by one. First, I came out with like half my clothes off because Jack was fucking somebody in the TARDIS, and like Pam, who had never acted before, was up on stage being Gwen, which was really impressive of her because she had like extreme stage fright. I don't know if you knew that.
I did. Yeah, yeah. And she
Yeah.
mentioned that she was nervous.
Oh well, I was doing Repo the Genetic Opera with her. We were doing that show to cast for a while, and she was playing a character in that, and she had never been on the stage at all when we were doing that. And like, I remember the first time she's like, I don't know if I'm gonna be on stage or if I'm gonna come off and just vomit everywhere. And I'm like, Pam, go on the stage. Do not look into the audience. If you have to look into the audience, because that's what your cue is supposed to do, look at the fucking exit signs. Trust me, you'll be okay. And then afterwards, she's like, "Oh yeah, you just looked at the exit signs the whole time. How'd you know that would work?" I'm like, "Because that's like where everybody starts. Like you know, like when you're afraid of the audience the first time you're on stage. Now I do the opposite. Now I'm like looking directly at people in the eye. And I'm like, yeah, you're scared of me, aren't you?"
Yeah, that's right. I'm looking you in the face. You with your
Yeah,
snack. Put it away.
yeah, right. Well, I mean, eventually it got to the point where I couldn't see them because I need glasses, and neither of us ever wore fucking contacts. You know, so we would just go on stage blind.
Hey, that's
Uh,
by the way, not that that's really relevant to anything, but I've adulted because I
did you
bought
get contacts?
contacts in the
I'm
event
on
that
my
we
way
go back
to.
to conventions.
That's
I'm
because at the point where like it really sucks that we keep all walking into shit because we can't see. Like
we
there was that what? Okay,
we
fine.
thank
I
you.
I watched it. There was times that we would be yelling on stage and I wouldn't have glasses on because my character didn't wear glasses and I couldn't see anything. But I'd be like, "Where's like Maddie was playing Buffy?" And I'm like, "Where's Buffy?" And she's like, "I'm standing right here. What do I do?" Like anyway, dating
Hello,
game. So it was
hello.
fun. Nate was in that show too. Like we had like a full cast. I don't really remember what happened. I remember people chasing people around at one point, but it was fun. We did an opening number. We did Together Again
Hmm.
for the first time, which I listened to the other day for the first time in like years, and I was like, "What the fuck were the
And
lyrics?"
that was
That's why I said,
actually the first song that I rewrote for
"Yeah."
us.
That's why I asked you. I was like, "What were these lyrics?" Because I don't remember. So
It
you
was
know,
funny for the longest time. Whenever that song would come on in like on my iTunes or whatever, I would sing the version that we did at Kineticon for the
I
longest
used to do
time.
that for a while too, but then I didn't hear it for like 6 or 7 years. So
Mm.
but it's if you, I think we should do a re-performance of it if we can find like the lyrics written down somewhere. Be like, let's perform.
Somewhere in one of our hard drives on some computer, we have the lyrics to that
Do you know
song.
how many times I've lost shit on those hard drives because I've like transferred hard drives like at least like 6 times since we met? So
Right.
I know. Anyway, so that
Well,
was that.
my
Then we did
dear,
what?
this has been something.
It has.
It has.
Should we talk about that masquerade that year?
No, you know what? We're not. We're gonna save that for another episode, honestly,
Are you
because
sure you don't want to talk about the masquerade where we like like we recorded everything and it was bad? Okay, maybe we should. That okay, so let's just end it with this.
yeah,
This is like how we met, and the future stories that we will tell are not going to be as seamless as these ones were.
right. Those were
So,
like the calm ones.
yeah, we just met. Like, but it was like a nice like trip down memory lane on how conventions used to be because they're I don't know. I mean, they probably are still like that where you go in and you meet new people.
I mean, you got to
But
give the people wanting more. Also, I mean, there's always the story of how we thought we were going to get arrested at a convention. There's the story of how we thought we were going to lose our entire reputations at a convention.
wait, why were we going to get arrested at a convention?
Oh,
Which
honey,
time?
remember standing in a back hallway worried?
Wait, what? Why? Oh.
Oh, yeah,
Oh my god. I
yeah.
I wasn't worried that we were going to get arrested,
I
but
mean,
yeah.
somebody was. But anyways, so many stories to
To be
tell.
continued. Oh my god.
Right.
That
To be continued.
I
Well,
don't know.
everybody, thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. It's got much more to it now that I have somebody to talk to. Thank God. Ryan,
That
thank you so much for
yeah.
coming to share some stories with everybody.
Yep.
Uh,
And then
if
we
you
could
like
put
what
you
you
in
heard, you can find me on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon, and I'm working on a couple of other places to upload this beach to.
get
You
yourself
can
up
also
on
find us on
Podbean.
Facebook under
Oh,
Convention Confessionals. And
yes.
Ryan, if you like, now's the time you can boost your own podcast on here.
Oh my god, that's right. Well, I do a million things, but I do have a X-Men podcast in which I am not Magneto, although I do talk about him a lot on there.
Hmm.
It's called the Mutant Ages, and it's me and our friend Maddie, and we host it together, and we review every single adaptation of the X-Men episode by episode. So we did the X-Men the animated series, and we've done a couple of movies. We're in X-Men Evolution right now, but mostly we focus on breaking apart the episodes and finding the queer coding in them because the X-Men are absolutely a metaphor for being queer. And we spent a lot of time doing that, and also discussing a little X-rated fan fiction about who Wolverine is baning per episode. So that's always fun. But yeah, and you can follow me on Twitter at Ryan Pagella and Instagram at Ryan.Pagella. And I do a million other things. But if you go to one of those social media sites, you will see what I do there.
Great.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Katie. I
Thank
can't wait
you,
to come back and do
Ryan.
this again and talk about our successful and also not successful masquerades.
Oh god, we haven't even gotten to the non-successful yet. That's
We
the
haven't
best
even we
part.
haven't even gotten to AAC where you put you literally inside a confessional, like for real, for real.
For real, for real.
And
Well,
it's I
thanks,
was gonna say
guys. Thanks for listening. If you like what you heard, share it with your friends. And if you didn't, shut up. We'll talk to you later.
if you didn't, you can get the fuck out.
Basically. Bye.
Bye.